10-minute trades. Don't forget, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. And it is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. All right? Look at oil. What is going on with oil today? It's up $2, $2, more than $2, making a new high. Just finished making new high after new high after new high. So that creates issues or potential issues on a report, because how much higher can it go, right? So say there's an expected drawdown. Why is there an expected drawdown? Because yesterday afternoon's oil report had a monstrous drawdown, way more of a drawdown than expected. In other words, much more oil was used than they were forecasting on the Tuesday afternoon oil report. And that helped oil push up. However, oil was flat going into that event yesterday. Oil today is roughly up over 200 ticks. You can see oil 72.83. It hasn't been, yesterday it was 70, in the 70s, 69, 70. So it can affect the upward move if there's a drawdown. In other words, it's possible. Nothing is definite, but it's certainly something you want to think about. It's possible that if there is a drawdown, which I would expect, and the market's expecting a drawdown of 3.5 million. You can see it right there, 3.5 million. If that actually takes place, I would expect not a gigantic move to the upside, because the move's already been made today. So this is not the day that if I were going to start trading oil live. Now, oil has not been in our plan as a trade to take. It hasn't been, because it started out the summer trading pretty poorly. But as the summer went on, I'd say by the second half of the summer, late July, early August, late July, oil started trading beautifully. Reports just worked, one after the other after the other. And that's the state that we find oil in right now. Let's double check the DMM. There could be a bad trade here and there. Last week, we only were able to make one target. So while it's called a winner, it does note right here, target one fill. Okay, that was it. We could not get more than target one last week. So that's not a big winner. Okay, when you only hit target one, that means it was able to give us 7 ticks. Because don't forget, you have a bracket of 10. That means it had to move at least 17 ticks, assuming that there was no slippage also, right? Assuming that there was no slippage also. So I want to welcome our YouTube folks. I was a little bit late getting the stream going. I apologize for that. We just started. So that's an issue that you just want to be aware of if you are trading this report live. You just might not get as much of an upward move as you would normally get if oil was, 30 ticks one way or the other. And look at it. I'm just looking to see. I'm assuming, and if anybody wants to correct me on this, normally I don't worry that much about the why. And the reason we don't worry that much about the why is because events move markets. It is what it is. They move the markets. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter why the market is up or down before or after an event, because the event normally will still move the market. Okay? That's why we don't worry all that much when markets are moving before a report. However, you have to use a little bit of common sense also. Common sense dictates that if it's a gigantic move, then you probably can expect a more muted response to an event. I mean, it just makes common sense. It won't always follow either. It will not always follow that that's what is going to happen. It's not 100%, but it's just an element of the event you want to be aware of. You know what, Fred? Empire State has done nothing for how long? For how long has Empire State done nothing? It's incredible. So, you know, today it's really been terrible. It's really been terrible. So the fact that it did something today, it's anecdotal at best. But, you know, I always keep an eye on that report. So it'll just make me look a little more carefully for the next one. If Empire State starts to move the market, I don't mind. It's not about getting up early. Even if we have a nighttime trade room, I mean, this evening we happen to have a late trade room. I'm still happy to get up. I'm up, so it doesn't matter. Empire State just has not been a tradable event. So today it is what Fred is saying. So we'll keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on it. It's also never been an event that we traded. We've never had a DMM for it. It's never been an official event. It's always been a small moving report. But it is manufacturing data, and the market very often responds very well or with an impact to manufacturing data. That's just what happens when you're dealing with manufacturing data. Markets respond to it often. So let's take a look at some recent oil moves. Last week was the 9th. And I think you'll find that what we saw was a target one, fill and hit. And that's all that it wrote. So there's your fill. It's going to go down and hit target one. It hits target one. And now I did try to protect the profit of target one by dropping the stop down. So you want to keep that in mind when you're deciding if it would have hit target, if you would have survived the trade if you didn't move your stop down. Now in this particular trade, because of the way it's behaving, moving the stop down made sense because it was not following through. It almost looked like it wanted to hit target 2 and then it failed. And now it's going to reverse and go quite a bit of the way back up, which would probably stop you out. Let's look and see. So the fill was around 64, 65. So price has to get up to about 77 for the trade to fail. And it really doesn't. I mean, if you stay in, it looks like if you stay in, you might have survived if you did not move your stop at all. But for us, because of the way we traded it, it hit the first target, you protected some of the profit, which makes sense. You're only trading 2 contracts. So that's a target 1. That's a target 1 winner. Maybe it could have been better. It's possible. The week before, now that would have been September 1st. Sometimes my videos, I don't know where they go. They just disappear. I may not have September 1st. Let me just look in one other place. September 1st was a 3 position winner. Let me look in one other place. Give me a second here. As I said, oil's trading quite well. It's really been trading well. Now, oil will probably never be a family money trade, no matter how well it trades, because unlike natural gas, it's just been too inconsistent for too long of a period. In other words, it'll trade well for 2 or 3 months, then it'll trade poorly for an extended period of time. It won't be just 1 or 2 trades. It'll go into a mode where it just doesn't trade well for an extended period of time. So that's a problem. Here's August 25th. Whoops. Now I would like to, we are going to be changing our trading accounts in a dramatic fashion. And it's going to mean more non-family money trades will be taken. In particular, when the markets are acting like it would be a good time to trade more. We can tell very often when the markets are trading well and when they're not. That's the truth. Right now, it's not that they're trading horribly, but they're not trading great. They're in the middle. There's been winners, but there's also been losers. There's times when everything works no matter what you do. And you can feel it, you can see it. It's almost impossible to make a mistake. Those are the times that we'll trade even some of the 50-50 reports. So August 25th was a slow fill. Now, if you're going to trade oil with full-size oil, you don't want to do it with $5,000 in your account. You want to have at least, bare minimum, a $10,000 account. Bare minimum, I believe. Because oil can bite you on a bad trade. So it bursts up. That looks like might have just barely. I would still call that a target 1. Let me see what my notes are. But it's staying up. That was 825. Target 1 winner is what people in the room that were trading live were saying. And that's what it looks like. It looks like also a target 1 winner. It struggled to follow through. Then we've got, let's find another one. So that was 825. Then we're looking for 818. Do I have 818? Let's see. $818. There's the bracket, shoots up, choppy. Looks like it hits target 2. Let's see what the notes say. Why do we check notes? Because the notes say what happened to people that traded live. There are people that are trading oil live. That hit both targets, clearly. That was a 2-target winner. And let's look at 811. Now, that was a smaller spike on 811. When you have a small spike with a 10-tick bracket, you're definitely going to struggle to hit both targets, right? It's only common sense that if you have a small spike, you're going to struggle to hit that second target. So 811, my guess is it'll be a 1-target trade. So folks that are watching on YouTube, if any of you would be kind enough to give us a like, that would be greatly appreciated. Sign up for the channel and hit the notification bell so you know the next time we're going to stream. We stream every single day almost. So if you like watching trading events, trading the news, we're not afraid to do it live. All right, so here's August 11th. So while I said that oil has been trading well, I'm going to modify that really and say that oil has been hitting the first target well. And that's what it's been doing for the past month. Okay. So oil had gone from hitting all 2 targets more easily, and now it seems to be, watching the videos, it definitely is more muted. The moves are more muted. So I'm waiting to see how quickly we're going to get our secondary account set up. If not, maybe we'll do some MCL trading. MCL is the new micro for oil. Not as good liquidity on the MCL, meaning not as many orders available, so it's possible to have more whipsaws, worse fills. Those things happen. Let's check our time sync by going to the website time.is. Let me turn my recorder on also before I forget. Go to the website time.is just by clicking on it, and that puts my computer in sync. And then our setup for oil, which is the way that I would be interested in trading it, especially because it's September. Our setup is a bracket of 10. Our orders are 7 ticks and 15 ticks, profit target of 7 ticks, profit target of 15 ticks, and a stop of 12 ticks. Stop loss ticks is 12. The entry time, it's a 10:30 event, so you go to entry time, same as activate, 10:29:58 is the time that we activate. That means we put our orders on the charts. 10:29:58. It's a breakout trade, and I like to label it Oil Wednesday Report. That's all you have to do in this particular setup. That's all you need. You need a bracket. The bracket's 10. You need targets. Our targets are 7 and 15. We have a stop of 12, and we have an entry time of 10:29:58. That's the bare minimum you need to place a trade. And then you need to activate your trade. And as long as your machine ID is active, you'll get a JOBB logo, and you'll be ready for the trade. Now, I'm just going to watch MCL. There are some people that are trading it. When you compare the liquidity between the two instruments, so how do you compare liquidity? Open up two separate domes. Okay, Ninja has a dome. Okay, so you open up two separate ones. Populate one of them with CL, right? Populate the other with MCL. So MCL is on this dome. The dome on the left will make CL 1021. That's the contract we're trading. And you can actually see that today, right now, the liquidity is almost the same. It's a little bit higher on the CL. You have over 100 orders. They're gone now, but 70, 43, little bit higher, not really significant, not significantly higher. But the one thing you do see, if you understand looking at liquidity, that's low liquidity. When you look at bonds, if you want to see high liquidity, oh, that contract's too old. Bonds are on 12, so forgive me. Let me find the right contract. Where's my bonds? Come on. Bonds are on 1221. So let's look at ZN 1221. Look at the difference in liquidity. 4,000 versus 20s and 30s. That's liquidity. That means sometimes, that's why sometimes if you're trading bonds, right? I've said this before, you'll sit on a price and you won't get filled right away. There might be 100 orders ahead of you or 500, and people are getting filled while you're waiting. And that's why sometimes you'll have a trade and you'll think to myself, holy crow, it hit my target, I didn't get filled. With oil, that usually doesn't happen. What happens with oil is it might shoot through your target and fill you at a different price because there's so few orders and so many people looking to get filled. The opposite happens. It fills you at a worse price. Bonds, sometimes you might not get filled. Might take a few seconds. It can be maddening if you're like in a winning trade by one tick and you're trading 5 contracts and it's ZB, which is $31 a tick, and there's a lot of orders in front of you and you're not getting filled. It could mean the difference between a significant winning trade and a flat trade. So liquidity has tremendous effect on what we do. And that's why I'm stressing more and more for people to choose slightly different targets than what's on the DMM. If we all choose the exact same targets, the exact same everything, we are just going to hurt ourselves. It's important to use different targets because it will help people get filled, get better fills if we're not all trying to do the exact same thing. That's why you should absolutely not follow every little thing that I do. Now, unfortunately, I would not necessarily do a lot of changing to brackets and stops. Because they're very critical to a trade working. Targets, much more flexible in what's going to happen in a trade. Now, entry time, I've been talking to the programmer about yesterday's CPI trade yesterday morning. And while I totally understand what happens in a very, very fast moving trade, the programmer made some comments when I sent him my output file to analyze that I really want to hear back from him before I really can discuss it intelligently. That trade yesterday morning was so fast that for me, I got filled short and then it burst long and stopped me out. My stop was not available to be placed. And I then had a short, which I knew, I saw, and I tried to take advantage of. But unfortunately, the market would not pull back down. So I couldn't get my money back. It pretty much hung where it was. It did go down a little bit. But the point is, everything happened in a nanosecond. When everything happens in a nanosecond, there's not much you can do. There's not much anyone can do. There's not much any software can do. There's not much anyone can do when something happens so fast that before you even blink, 15 trade executions are trying to take place. Placing 3 orders, hitting 3 targets, placing 3 stops, hitting stops. I mean, you got to understand that that's what happens sometimes. And we're seeing, because of the world crisis, markets have changed a lot. They're very different from what they were 18 months ago, obviously. Then they went through a change 3 months after the crisis began. And then they started getting more normal for about 9 months. And then we're in this situation now where the markets are responding ultra quickly to many events that they have responded fast normally, but we're seeing much faster responses, which can create chaos in a trade. And there's not a lot we can do. You can, trade smaller on those really, and we're starting to know clearly which trades are the most volatile. And yet, the WASD trade maybe only had one ultra fast event where maybe only 1 or 2 people had a difficult outcome when almost everyone had a great outcome. WASDs have been really fast, and they've been almost all of them have been executed perfectly. So it's something I'm constantly working with the programmer on, but it's been years that we've been doing this. There is no possible way to remove all troublesome outcomes from super fast markets. It's just not possible. You can try all different techniques, but there's always a different event reaction that makes the technique that you're trying invalid or not quite right. So ultra, and oil and gas can be prone to an ultra fast market reaction. They certainly used to be much worse than they have been the past 18 months, particularly gas. What's interesting about natural gas is it's at an all-time high, I believe. It's up over 100% this year. And it's still trading where the trades are manageable. They're tradable. All right, let's watch oil, see what kind of result we get here. Now that's a very choppy, I want to watch the price. There was I believe, less of a drawdown than expected, I believe. So you had a quick fill, almost hit the second target fails to hit the second target. Let's see if anybody traded that live. You could still be in this trade. Now, it's showing a pretty larger drawdown than I thought. Okay, that is correct. That's a very large drawdown compared to what was expected. So even with oil being up on the day, it looks like, so Jody, what happened to you that you lost money on that? Did you use our exact setup? Did you use the exact setup? Because sim is not the same as live. It's just not as good. Doesn't give you an honest answer all the time. So who else traded Crude live? So MCL gave you +5 ticks live. I find it looks like MCL does not trade quite the same as CL. So then I would assume that CL had slippage, and that's why it failed to hit the first target. That there would have been slippage on CL. If you traded live, type in what your fill was. If you traded live on CL, type in what your fill was if you traded live. Now, you have to be willing to lose money if you're going to trade oil live. I mean, I've said this over and over and over and over and over. Oil is not, I mean, I'm not trading it live. I'm not trading it live. And I would not have traded it live today as the first time I would want to start trading it live, even with the good drawdown from yesterday, which it emulated. There was a very strong drawdown. So Tess, you got filled at 72.80. See how sim can be fraudulent? See, I was filled sim at 76, and there probably was 4 ticks of slippage at least. And that makes the difference. It could make the difference between not hitting that first target. It could make the difference between not hitting the first target. Did anyone else trade it live? Anyone else trade it live? I've got 2, Jody and Tess, on CL, on CL. Now, I'm willing to trade natural gas, but I'm not, the way oil's been trading and watching the videos in this room, seeing that it's been struggling at target 1 for the past month, doesn't fill me with the desire to want to trade oil live. So I always wonder why someone would choose to take that live trade. Where's the return? You're not getting, we have 5 weeks, almost 5 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row on video, where it struggled to hit target 2. So I say to you, where is the benefit? What's the benefit of taking that trade live when we have many other trades that potentially can give us a better outcome? So it's all about decisions, right? And I don't always make the right decision either. And believe me, I never said that I do. No one does. But I just want to talk a little bit about decisions, okay? Making the right decision for your account. If I'm showing oil 3 weeks, 4 weeks in a row, easily hitting both two targets, I'm interested. I'm definitely more interested. But if I see the market up over 200 ticks, struggling the last 3, 4 weeks at target one, I'm not that interested. That's how I make my decision. So Jody, the other thing is a smaller bracket. I probably would not change the bracket on oil. But look, these are the things you learn. You know, this is how you learn. I don't want you to lose money. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I don't want you to lose money. We have trades that every trade is risky, but we've got trades that are giving us a better possibility of making money. So I want to stay with those. And there are other what I call 50-50 trades, or I wouldn't call oil necessarily a 50-50 trade, but there's other trades that I would trade in the test account that are less risky than oil. Oil can be risky. Now, it didn't act crazy today. It just didn't act well enough to give people money. So that's what people are saying. So that was not a winning trade. That was not a winning trade. I want to take a quick look while you all are here. Let's take a quick look. I'm going to download the gold futures from today to look at Empire State, see if Fred is right. Today's the 15th. I'm going to download, get the market replay data for GC 1221. Click download. So I've downloaded the gold futures data for today. I'm going to look at GC 1221. So gold's pretty volatile today. What's going on today in the world, folks? Anybody want to clue me in? What's going on today? Is there any monstrously huge news that's creating the volatility in the markets today? Anybody want to clue me in? Let's say that we have a trade for Empire State Manufacturing, all right? I'm going to connect playback, the replay. It's an 8:30 report, okay? It's an 8:30 report, and the date is the 15th. So I put Ninja Trader, replay on 9:15, 9:15. It's on market replay. I right-click in this blank spot. When GoTo comes alive, I'm now going to put the time in of 8:29:50, 10 seconds before the event. 8:29:50, and then I'm going to check and see if Ninja has the bug working today, where it'll reset the time to 00, or if it's going to work. So look at the market at 8:30 in the morning. Gold had an open and it burst up, okay? So gold was not easy to trade this morning at the time of the report. Now it reset the time to 12 midnight, so I just have to re-enter the time. That's a bug in Ninja that they will not admit that's a bug. If everybody would email them and show them that their platform absolutely has a bug in replay, it doesn't honor the time you put in the first time that you do replay, then it does. So I have the replay time in. Now I'm going to set up a trade. I'm just going to set up the 8:30 trade, knowing what I know about Empire State Manufacturing. I did not look at the market purposely. I would use a 6-tick bracket on that trade, and I would use targets of 4 and 12. My stop, I'd use 11. And my entry time, Empire State is not known as releasing the news early. If anything, it tends to release late. So I'll put an entry time of 8:29:59, All right. That's my trade setup. And now I'm just going to press replay. Let me record it because I can put this in my file folder for Empire State Manufacturing. I saw that, Zoso. Actually, Zoso, it wasn't Trump who said that. It was one of the generals. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to talk politics today, but I did see the information about that book. Yeah, it was General Milley. Well, people were concerned at the end of Trump's presidency that he would do something, irrational. That's what that book is about. Yeah, we're better off not talking politics. I think there's people who don't agree, and there's people that do agree. So there's no winning if we talk politics. Nobody agrees. Let's talk trading. So let's look at the Empire State. Let's look at the Empire State trade. So I set up a trade with a bracket of 6, targets of 4 and 12, entry time of 8:29:59. We're using this clock, not this one. There's the orders. And Fred looks like it was a nice move. So if you look at the news for Empire State, if we go back down to 8:30, and New York Empire State was monstrously positive, driving gold down. Forget the money. It would have hit both targets and it would have been a great trade. So Empire State looked like it would be a very nice trade. No, Jody. Well, let me explain it. The trade, in theory, should execute if it breaks the bracket, Jody. So if you have a 10-tick bracket, well, let's look, Jody, I'll replay this trade for you. Let me just save it. I'll show you the bracket. But yeah, you're right. In theory, when a bracket is broken, if a bracket is 10 and the market moves 10 ticks, the bracket is your order above and below the market, right? So on this Empire State trade, I'll stop it when the bracket gets drawn in a couple of seconds. So there's our bracket, Jody. So that's theoretically a 6-tick bracket, 1008, 8008 to 8002 to 8008. So if the market hits the bracket, it will trade. It will enter you in. If it goes down, it'll enter you in short. If it goes up. So I don't think that's the cause because that was out yesterday. That's why I don't think that the book has the effect on the markets today. Because we knew that news yesterday. They were talking about it yesterday. So does that help, Jody? That's how that's what the bracket does. You could see in this trade, then the news came out, it pushed gold down, and when it got through the bracket, it filled. And that's how it works. That's what the bracket does. All right. Any other questions, folks? Thanks on YouTube for giving us likes. Really appreciate it. We'll be streaming again tomorrow. Hey, Jody, can you send me the settings also? Can you send me the settings also? When I say the settings, take a picture of these settings, what they were. if you still have them. Sometimes I can't tell from a picture. That's why, I mean, for us, I record everything. Nothing helps better than a video. Send it, Jody, and I'll look, definitely. I'll definitely look. You know, send me as much information as you can. Okay, folks, so we will be back. We have a 6:15 trade room today. A little bit unusual for New Zealand. Trying to learn about New Zealand. That's why I'm putting some time in on New Zealand. All right? And then we have a Australia jobs report, a money trade tonight. So we'll see how that goes. All right? That's at 9 o'clock. So it's a long day today. So I'll see everybody later. Any questions? Any last questions? I don't see any. So I'll see everybody this evening. And okay, have a good rest of your day. I'll see you all later.